Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show on this September 14th, 2022, a Wednesday. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you guys here. You guys know what? What I found out this morning? That the Queen's coffin is lined with a thick layer of lead. Why? But evidently they do that with royalty. They've done that for a long time now. It's to preserve and stop the what's the process that takes place of when the body kind of disintegrates, that's to slow that process down. That's what the lead is there for. It's just an interesting little fact I found out this morning. Anyway, the article we got here is "The World is a Hindenburg." A lot of people don't know what the Hindenburg was. It was an enormous airship that was filled with hydrogen, and it blew up suddenly. And it was a tremendous tragedy. And so that's what they're talking about here, is the world is a Hindenburg in search of a spark. 10 of the most explosive issues we faced, and they go on to list them here. They're listing China. It says, will Xi survive? Cities are locked down, people are protesting, and more as China has ghost cities. The well-oiled machine that many think it to be is not the well-oiled machine many think it to be. Also, they're talking about how if China moves toward Taiwan, in other words, they're worried about a war breaking out between China and Taiwan. How will the European Union and the Euro survive? They're talking about that because of the war that's going on where Putin is cutting off the gas supply to Europe. Energy conundrum across the world. Energy's become a big deal. They go on to list 10 of these problems. One of the problems they list is growing inequality. This is going to turn out to be one of the bigger of the problems. It's not realized now because people, they're still getting fed. It's going to get harder and harder. And seriously, a lot of people out there are saying, come on, Glenn, we're always going to have the grocery store full of food and we're always going to be able to go. Not necessarily. Your prices. Now, in some countries, they're just not going to have the food. A lot of countries in Africa and places like that, just not going to have the food. But in first world countries like the United States, Canada, here in Canada, Great Britain, Japan, first world countries, we're going to have food in the grocery stores, I believe. That's what I believe. We're going to have food. I believe we're still going to have food in the grocery store, but at what cost? This is where the problem comes in. Lower income people out there are going to find it harder and harder when the price of a can of beans goes from maybe where it is now, maybe $2, up to $20, and your wages don't increase very much. Really, this is what we're facing. Food costs are going to become enormous, and part of the reason for this is the world is in a drought. Now, I just don't know. This year, the drought's been extremely bad around the world. China, oh my goodness, the Yellow River's dried up in China. And then the American Southwest, oh my gosh. But this year's been a very bad year for drought, and it's affected crops around the world. Not only that, is fertilizer costs went through the roof this year. So I would say, my estimation, we're only producing about 60 to 70% as much grains and food as we normally produce in the world this year. And this is going to have a profound effect next year. But then next year, what's going to happen with the climate? Are we going to have a worldwide drought again, or is it going to get worse? Because if it gets worse, the second year will compound against the first year. And so the third year in, the food shortages will intensify. And we have to be prepared for that because that just might happen. Another big problem is the fiat currencies themselves. They're ready for a contagion. It says a deck of cards ready to fall. is what they're saying about the fiat currencies themselves. So, listen, guys, if you watch my channel, you know that I've called for a market I'm going to call the market problem, not so much a crash, but a problem in next month. And the reason why is they're going to do another 3/4 or maybe even a whole point raise this month. And then they're going to compound it next month with another one. Plus $95 billion. This is the first month, effectively, they're going to pull $95 billion out of the liquidity pool. How they're doing that is they're letting the balance sheet run off. They're just letting their they're letting it mature in the Fed's balance sheet. They're letting the bonds mature, and I am not exactly sure the ins and outs of how they do it, but the essential effect is they pull $95 billion a month from the liquidity pool. That's the effect. I think how they do it, is they let them run off, and then they cash them out, basically. And then when they cash them out, then they destroy that money. I'm just not exactly sure how it works, but I do know it's destruction of capital within the financial system. It's liquidities being withdrawn. $95 billion off of the Fed's balance sheet every month. And that's what they're doing right now. It's called quantitative tightening. Okay, let's move on and take a look at the price of silver today. 1968, it's up 37 cents on the day so far. Let's take a look at gold. Gold is 1705. It's up $3.60 on the day so far. Now let's take a look at cryptocurrencies, and we're looking at 998 billions, and we're looking at a Bitcoin price of 20,274, and Ethereum is at 1,597. Cryptocurrencies haven't seen their day yet, and they're not going to until the Fed changes direction again and goes back to a accommodative monetary policy. But that's when the hyperinflation is going to come. I believe that hyperinflation is going to be the real big driver behind cryptocurrencies. And also, what's going to help them along, really going to help, is the new central bank digital currencies are going to really help cryptocurrencies a lot. It's going to be like, it's going to really stimulate the cryptocurrency industry a lot, I think. That's my opinion. But we got to wait on that. That ain't coming for a little while, see? And it's a little bit ways down the road before we're going to see the central bank digital currencies. And we're going to see the Feds change direction. Right now, in this climate that we're in right now, it's very, very bearish for cryptocurrencies. It's holding them back. But watch them go. When this all changes in the future, when we get into the right environment, which is the central banks releasing their digital currencies, their central bank digital currencies, and simultaneously the fiat currencies going into a hyperinflation. This is going to be rocket fuel for cryptocurrencies and for gold and silver. I can see things where gold and silver, people start to use it in a black market way because the internet cannot see your gold and silver transactions. And so, because the internet can't see those transactions, they're done in the real world, people are going to use it in the black market. It's just, that's almost a given. Especially as they start to tighten the screws on humanity by watching every transaction you make. The cash used to be used extensively for that off the books transactions, but now it's going to be gold and silver. And this will drive the price of gold and silver because it'll be a worldwide phenomenon where they'll be used for off the book transactions. It's coming. No escaping it. The governments can complain about it. They can try to crack down on it, but it's going to occur anyway. And there's nothing that they can do about it. Let's take a look at the Dow today. Let me refresh the page. It's up 165 points. on the day so far. But you know where this thing's going. We're right at that stage where we're in the dead cat bounce right now. The bear market rally. We're in it right now, but it's going to start to turn downwards as the Fed keeps pounding on these, raising the rates higher and higher, and keeps the pedal down on these quantitative tightening. The quantitative tightening has really just got serious. I think it was 45 billion a month, and now they've increased it to 95 billion a month. That's serious. And it's going to that compound. This is only the first month, and it's a compounding effect. So we're going to have to wait a few months and see how it slowly erodes the market and pushes. In this climate right here, you're never going to see a market that's going to explode to the upside. In other words, go back into a bull again. Not in this climate. It's going to continue trending downwards. Maybe you'll have up days like today, but you want to sell a rally. Because tomorrow it's apt to go down again, and I mean, seriously, guys, I've already told you guys that I believe that the Fed's going to step in around 26,000, but I could be wrong. It might let it go lower than that. But there is no bottom. If the Fed doesn't want to step in, if they just want to stand back there and watch while the market goes down and continue on with their tightening policies, quantitative tightening and raising rates, if they want to continue with that process, this market would go all the way down until it finally reached a bottom at about 3,000 from 30,000. There's where the bottom would be. And between here and there's nothing but hot air. Let's take a look now at crude oil. It's up $1.30. Okay, the move index today, 128.87. Been basically treading water lately. And let's take a look at bonds and rates. And we're going to have to refresh the page here. Bond yields are falling a little bit today. We're looking at a 10-year at 3.39 and a U.S. 30-year at 3.46. Down about 3 or 4 basis points. Down. So we have up day and we have down day. Up day and down day. But the trend, overall trend of the 10-year, has been upwards. And, I'll tell you, we are heading for a crash. Maybe it won't come in October. It might be November or December. But the Fed's not going to relent until they get the crash they're looking for. It's as simple as that. Then they're going to say, hey, the sky's falling. We got to print more money. And then they'll get right back to what they were doing before. This is just a game we're playing here. But it's a game you guys can profit from if you've got common sense. And you say, hey, you know what? If I can buy into the market just before this thing turns around, the Fed comes back in with accommodative monetary policy, I'm going to do rather well. If you think with that kind of an attitude, but you got to watch, you got to wait, you got to be patient for that. I don't believe, now my personal opinion, I don't believe we're there yet. I think we got some ground to cover. The Fed is still, and you're going to see it coming, guys. When you see the Fed talk, like right now, the Fed talk is like very hawkish. Extreme. Hawkish to the extreme. Oh, we got to fight inflation. When you see them start to moderate on their tone, when you see the markets have fell off to a certain point and they start to moderate on their tone, then it's getting ready. They're getting ready to come out and start printing money again. And they're going to go back to it. It's the same thing. It's with dieters all your life. You've heard this. A dieter will come in and they're like all excited. I'm going to lose all this weight. And the first few days, that's what they're doing. They're like, maybe it's one of your family members. They come in. Oh, I'm on this diet. I'm going to lose all this weight. They're not eating hardly anything that day. Right? And the next day, and the next day. And you're wondering to yourself, when are they going to go back to their old habits again? And, it's just a matter of time. They're not going to stay on that diet forever. It'll get to them after a while. It might take, it depends on how much willpower they have. They might take them a week. It might take them a month. Maybe they will lose a lot of weight. But eventually they're going to be back to their old eating habits again, most times. And that's the way with the Fed, you know. You just got to wait them out. But while we're waiting them out, we're all suffering here. And this is where the civil unrest is going to come in, because they're only going to push so hard against this, and all of a sudden the people are just going to be like, we can't feed our kids any longer. It's starting to strike each and every one of us. They're putting us into a depression. This is that they come on and they have said now that they're going to put us into a severe recession. But they always like to use the recession word. Ever since the Great Depression, they hate to use the word depression. But what is a severe recession if it's not a depression? They're going to cause another Great Depression. And then they're going to back off and start to stimulate. And then they're going to cause inflation in the economy that they've destroyed. Oh, they're wrecking everything. Let's take a look at the US dollar index at 109.43. Okay, guys. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.